your years of dedication and service to the automotive industry. You have set an example for others to follow. Keep up the good work. We certainly could use more people like you in our industry. Best wishes, Steve Cook. I'm going to I have two of these books, and I'm going to give both of these books away on the program today. And folks, if you're not into cars, you don't need these books. But if you really want to know how to, the inside scoop and how to understand why check engine lights come on, and it's a great book, and Steve did a fantastic job. The name of the book is OBD2, Diagnostics Made Easy. So for every caller, I'll put your name in the hat. At the end of the second hour of today's broadcast, I will give away two of these books. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part this day by Berryman Products. If your vehicle is a little sluggish or experiencing poor fuel economy, you can try Berryman B12 Chem Tool featuring the exclusive HEST or High Energy Solvent Technology. Berryman B12 Chem Tool cleans your fuel system and can result in higher compression, fuel repairs, and lower operating costs. You learn more at BerrymanProducts.com. A 2013 Honda Accord came in the shop running rough, stalling, and a check engine light. The vehicle had originally been repaired by another shop. After a thorough diagnosis, we found the vehicle was generating a bad signal from the crankshaft position sensor. This seemed odd as it had just recently been replaced, but the scope doesn't lie. A bad waveform signal needs to be fixed. Our solution? A new crankshaft position sensor from Motorrad. A longtime leader for vehicle thermostats and caps, Motorrad now offers engine management products that are engineered to meet and or exceed OEM specifications. They're designed to perform under severe operating conditions and are resistant to extreme heat. We made the change, and that fixed the car. Motorrad engine management products are manufactured in Tier 1 OEM facilities with top quality qualifications. They undergo comprehensive 100% in-line and end-of-line testing to ensure uncompromising quality. Learn more about Motorrad engine management products and other Motorrad solutions at Motorrad.com. Folks, you know that tune-ups are often scheduled at 100,000 miles, but carbon constantly builds up on the valves and the combustion chambers inside an engine. Fuel injectors can also become clogged. Thanks to Berryman, with their 4-step professional air and fuel management kit, we can clean both the wet side, which is the fuel side, and the dry side, which is the intake manifold side of your engine. We use Berryman's 4-step professional air and fuel management maintenance kit to clean the fuel system and decarbonize both the wet and dry side every 30 to 40,000 miles. It features mass airflow sensor cleaner, air intake and throttle body cleaner, an intake valve and combustion chamber cleaner, and a liquid pourable professional fuel system cleaner. Learn more about Berryman's 4-step professional air and fuel management maintenance kit at BerrymanProducts.com. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, loaded, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here. Your aroma helps me wake and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started. 888 Car Clinic is the number for you to call. Hannah will take your call. Again, that's 888-227-2546. So I talked about this book that Steve wrote, Steve Cook, OBD2 Diagnostics Made Easy. Now, I can tell you, diagnosing an automobile and diagnostics are not easy. But if you understand a little more about wave patterns and networks and types of communication protocol, those sorts of things, within the automobile, then certainly you can perform diagnostics a lot easier. And since the scan tool is used to view information over the various networks within a car, it's likely that you'll run into a situation where a scan tool will not communicate. We see that all the time. When a scan tool cannot communicate with the architecture, the inside scoop of the automobile, then there's no way that anybody can diagnose it because there's no communication. It's like somebody hanging up on a telephone. You don't get the connection. Well, the networks, it shows the networks on one page. Let me flip another page here and share with you. Injector voltage scope pattern. I mean, the book is a little, it's elementary in one sense of the word, and it's highly technical in another sense of the word. But Steve has done a really great job. He worked a long time on this, and came out in 2018, and it's made possible by a lot of contributions from a lot of Mighty Vac and let's see, Brake Fluids and the Lyle Corporation, AEC Technical, Associated. There's just trouble codes on page 66, communications, diagnosing, tools of the trade, inputs and outputs, all this information. So if you're interested in this book, and if you're not, you can call and ask a question, of course. But if you're not really interested in the book, you don't need to. You can tell Hannah that you're not interested in the book. I want to really give it away to somebody that'll use it. Is what I'm saying. Anyway, it's called OBD2: Diagnostics Made Easy by Steve Cook, and I have two of these books. One's been personally autographed to me, and I've absorbed as much as I could possibly absorb. And all of our technicians have received their free copies. So this is just too good of information, and I've had it on my desk for too long, so I'm going to give it away to somebody today. We're going to go to Michigan and talk with Jim. Jim, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Well, Bobby, thank you, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Right
what
back
I
at you.
would like to talk about is the new truck in 2021 that Tesla's coming out with. This new truck will hold 5 passengers in the driver's cabin, and it'll get, with 2 sets of batteries built into it, up to 500 miles on a charge.
Well, leave it to Tesla to reinvent the wheel, or reinvent the EV wheel, that is. Is there a production date on that vehicle, or is it just a teaser?
Just 221 is what they're saying. They didn't give a month at this point.
So it's at currently, then, Jim, you could call it a teaser. But you know what's interesting is and you and I have talked about EVs, I don't know, for the last 3, 4, 5 years. The bottom line is, while I thought that, and still do consider EVs as a niche market, just a vertical market, with all of the OEMs, I mean, virtually every OEM coming out with an EV, and then making statements like they're going to build, 50% of their cars are going to be EV, and even some of them said all of their cars are going to be EV. I think Volvo, and correct me if I'm wrong, said that by 2025 all of their cars would be EVs. I find that very interesting. And make no mistake about it, folks, and Jim, you know this because you've worked as a former worker with GM. Whatever the manufacturers produce, people will buy. And I sincerely believe that with all of the EV research and development monies being poured into that segment, that we're going to see some really beautiful cars. And a good example, if you're familiar with, is the Ford Mustang SUV. I mean, that's almost sacrilege when you say SUV and Mustang out of the same mouth. But that's a new EV car with 300 miles of range. So yeah, I don't know. What's your thought on the growth of and the future of EVs versus internal combustion engine powered vehicles?
Well, I think the EVs are going to win in the end. I project that we will have 50% of our cars on the road be electric in 6 years. And it's not only to electric cars, they're already coming out with lithium-powered boats that will have no engine noise, and it'll make a real fun deal for people that want to own the boats.
Well, you have a point there, because certainly one of the issues on a boat is the isolation or insulation of the powertrain. The bigger the boat, the bigger the motors, and And I don't know if you've ever been down in the engine room of a yacht, but I have. And there's a port and a starboard engine. And this particular boat that I was on, or yacht that I was on, was all white, all painted white. So if there are any oil leaks at all, I mean, if you took a magic marker and put just a magic mark somewhere, you could see it, much less have an oil leak or a fuel leak. And it was really, I was quite impressed with that engine compartment, because like in my car, when I wash my car, I detail the engine as well. So I can, number one, I like it. Number two, I can see if there are oil leaks that are coming up. So anyway, it's going to be interesting. What else is going on with Tesla? Are they finally, you think, delivering cars? I understand that 80% of the EVs on the road are Teslas, but I'm not quite sure if that's correct, but I think it's close.
I think it's very close, because they rate them as the number one, that the whole industry should watch what they do first before they build theirs.
So Jim, let me ask a question while I got you on the air, maybe just from your experience. When we talk about, I want to shift gears here, when we talk about UAW, and at one time, my network, Car Clinic Network, was partnered with the UAW when UAW inherited a radio network. They had about 38 stations. We had at the time, 90 or 100. So we ended up collectively with 138 stations, 128 stations. And they even built, in Detroit, the UAW built a studio. And it was in a strange part of town, but it was a beautiful studio. And the engineer was Rudy Agus, who lives in California now, and he was a genius. Well, broadcast. He reminded me of, with Cumulus Angel Bourdon. We miss him, because we're now coming through you from, Fabio, we go out of Denver, right? You come out of Denver. Yeah, we go through Denver and Westwood 1, the Denver, and they're doing a great job there. But for the 25 years we were with New York, through which was originally ABC Satellite Services, and then it was sold, We still announce ABC Satellite Services, but really the carrier for us is Westwood 1. But anyway, getting back, I went to a Solidarity House. I've been there 3 times. And by the way, folks, if you go to the UAW in Detroit, you better drive and rent an American-made car. It had to be a Chrysler or a Chevrolet or a Ford, or you wouldn't get on the grounds at UAW. I was impressed with the folks that I met at UAW, but there sure was a strict atmosphere there. What was your experience?
Well, I'm going to say one thing about the last strike that GM had. My son is working for the OnStar division, and he was not affected by the strike, and he was very calm about it. And they assured him when the strike was over that it was good that he moved to another direction in working for GM, and they couldn't touch him on the strike, which made me, of course, very happy.
Right. So, of course, he's a member of the union, or is he?
No, he is not.
He is not. So, can you elect to not be a member of the union?
As far as I know, you can.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, we could talk about that for a whole show segment, what we want. But hey, it's great to hear from you, and thanks for the heads up. So again, give us just the quick one-liner or two-liner on Tesla's truck again.
Oh, Tesla's truck has 2 batteries built in. It's going to have the advantage of 500 miles per charge and can hold the driver and 5 passengers.
Can you imagine, and folks, think about this, can you imagine the raw torque, the immediate stump-pulling torque that an big electric motor can have with a truck? Now you're talking some quiet thunder is what that is, if there's such a thing as quiet thunder. Hey, Jim.
Well, I do agree, and I personally look forward to when I can pick an electric car and have it quiet as a mouse when we're going for a ride.
I agree. Hey, thanks so much for your call. Nice hearing from you, Jim.
Same here, Bobby. Bye-bye.
Bye. So, folks, that's really interesting, and if you've ever driven a golf cart or any electric car, you know that it has, of course, the electric motor has instant torque, and that's the most. And the reason that's important for you to remember is the immediate launching of a car from a stoplight, or as you pull away from a stoplight, a red light, uses the most energy and it gets the poorest miles per gallon. So if you could have, and there are cars that have this, an e-assist, It would be an internal combustion engine that cruises down the highway with an electric motor that helps it over the hills and leaps away from the traffic light. You get the best of both worlds. Sure enough, that's called the Prius. I'll be back. Don't go away. Entertainment and GPS systems, heated seats, backup cameras, and start-stop technology. Just a few of the electrical demands we put on today's vehicles. AGM, or absorbent glass mat batteries, are up to the challenge. They're precision engineered to offer ultimate combination of power, durability, and reliability. Short-distance driving means your battery is not fully recharging. AGM batteries are more efficient than traditional flooded batteries when partially charged. They consume less power from the alternator. AGM, the better battery for today's vehicles. Learn more at autobatteries.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
This car repair spotlight brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. This week we had a 2013 Ford Escape 1.6 Ecoboost with 83,000 miles come in with two problems: coolant leak and squeaky belt. Seems the water pump was leaking coolant directly onto the belt. We called our local O'Reilly Auto Parts professional and ordered a new pump and serpentine belt. Given our past success with brand name parts, we agreed with our O'Reilly Auto Parts professional and installed a Murray water pump and a Master Pro belt. We also performed our pre-repair coolant system procedure to ensure the entire system was clean and new coolant not contaminated by old, which adds life to the repair job. We returned the car to the owner, roadworthy and thoroughly repaired. She was most pleased that she has a road trip planned for the Thanksgiving week. Having 48 years in automotive service and repair, we know where to find the best parts, right there at O'Reilly Auto Parts. That's why we make O'Reilly Auto Parts our first call. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
Higher, 98.
Higher.
Higher, 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house today. Every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, we come to you from the center of the automotive universe, which just happens to be a really nice studio. It's located inside a really nice 15,000 square foot automotive service shop, some 48 years plus in the operations. So every day, Monday through Friday, some 50 or 60 hours a week, we service, maintain, repair, and pre-repair our customers' cars. So when you and I talk about cars on Saturday, I give you information based on my education, my schooling, and my OJT every day in the business. I don't have all the answers, but certainly I can help you make the better decisions with regard to service. I'm holding the book here in my hand. I really love this book, OBD2 Diagnostics Made Easy by Steve Cook. And I have two of these books that I will be giving away at the end of the second hour today. So if you're interested in learning more about what makes your car tick electronically, then you'd love to have this book. And there's no obligation. You call, ask a question, and we'll put your name in the hat, and at the end of the show we'll draw your name. Let's go to New York, take a call. 888 Car Clinic is the number to call, so do it now. 888-227-2546. Frank from New York with a Volkswagen. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yes. I have a 2003 Volkswagen Jetta. When the car is running, you get an awful gas smell.
Wow.
When it's idling. But when you're driving it, it goes away. Number two is my tires in the front, or they're balls in the inside and ball on the outside.
Okay, when you say a tire, let's talk about tires first, Frank. The inside is the very inside of the tire, and the outside is the outside. The center of the tire is the center of the tread. You're saying that both inside and outside of the tire is worn, right?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, but the center is not.
That's because the tire pressure is too low for that car.
Oh.
So think about it this way, and you being a man, you can appreciate this. When we get a certain age, we get a little pot belly, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, but I work on that all the time. It's always ever present. Anyway, if you hold your stomach in, then the center of your belly doesn't push out. Just like a tire, the more air you put in the tire, the more it pushes out the belly, the center of the tire. Now, the opposite is true. The less air you have in the tire, the more the shoulders or the inside and outside tread wear on the tire. So low pressure causes that, and low pressure is common because tires do not make air, they lose air. So it has been a practice of mine and a policy of mine to share with everyone on this broadcast for 28 years that whatever the manufacturer calls for in the car, let's say in yours, your VW is probably going to be 33 PSI, you should run 35 PSI. Because the front does 70% of the stopping on a front-wheel drive car, and all of the pulling on a front-wheel drive. So 100% of the traction going forward and 70% of the stopping on the front of the vehicle. So if you run low pressure, the tires are doing all the work, the rears just go along. And to that end, Frank, I bought for my wife a Mini Cooper in 2006. Mini Coopers get 20,000 miles on a set of tires, period. I got, on two separate sets, 24,000. So I got a 20% increase in mileage, and here's how. I put 36 PSI in the front. Now this car called for 32, 33 all around. I ran 36 in the front and 29 in the rear, because the rear of a Mini Cooper, there's no weight back there. It just trails along, and everything's in the front, literally everything, hanging over the front wheel there. So that's something you can cure. You can't fix the tires. When you buy new tires, you should run 2 PSI more than what the book calls for, and you should check the tread depth every 4,000 miles so that you can catch this wear early on, because a tread gauge costs you $2 at O'Reilly Auto Parts and gives you a wealth of information, saves you real cash. Now, back to your other question with the fuel leak. There's nothing as pungent as raw fuel odor, but don't get confused between raw fuel odor and exhaust odor. So can you tell, and raw fuel odors, when you go to a service station and fill up the gas, you got that, you smell it. So is that what you're smelling in your VW?
Only smell it when it's idling.
Well,
it's got a very strong fuel smell.
Okay, so if that's the case, then you probably do have a fuel leak, and because when you're idling, obviously the car's not moving. But when you're moving, it's still, whatever's leaking, still leaking. But there's air, and you're flowing air, so that you don't really smell it because the air washes away the odor. So what I would do, I'd highly recommend when you smell fuel, is take it to a service shop and have them to inspect the car. Have you done that?
Yeah, car's been inspected.
And they can't find the fuel leak?
No, they can't find it at all.
Okay, here's what I recommend. Don't look for the leak. Look for a ring around the collar, and here's what I mean by that. If you spray Windex on a window and wipe it off, it cleans a window. If you sprayed Windex on a window and didn't wipe it off, you would see where it was. It would be a big blotch there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so look for, on the fuel lines of the car and under the hood, where the fuel rail is and the fuel lines go to the injectors, and on the injectors, look not for wet gasoline, but look for where maybe oil has been washed off a certain part. So you've got an accumulation of oil or dust and dirt, except on number 4 injector, or a fuel line connector or a fuel rail, you'll see that it looks like that it's different color, or it's been washed but not rinsed off. So have a technician re-inspect it, because if you smell fuel, raw fuel, there's a fuel leak. Nothing like it. And just because they couldn't find one doesn't mean that it's not there. The nose will tell you, and you don't have to be a technician. I've often said to people, you use your senses, your touch and your feel. If your brakes vibrate, when you step on the brakes, it shakes the wheel. Hey, that's not rocket science. You got brake problems. If you use your ears, if you hear a rattle when you go over a bump, that shouldn't be there. So, and use your smell, which you're using, and of course your sight. And so those are the things that really make it easier for us in the automotive service to help our customers. But in your case, you need to get a second opinion, because you cannot allow the car to have a fuel odor that it could be dangerous. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, my friend. I thank you for your call, and I wish you well.
I got one more question.
Okay, always one more question. What is it?
Can you run aluminums with steel?
Can you run what?
Can you run aluminum wheels with steel?
What do you mean? One on the front and one on the back?
I got steel. I got steel tires in the front and aluminums in the back.
Oh, steel wheels and aluminums in the back. Yeah. Well, here's the point. As long as, and I don't want to get technical here, as long as the size of the wheel is the same and the offset of the wheel is the same.
Yeah.
And the offset means that where the wheel is bolted on is the center of the wheel pushed in, which means that the tire is going to be pushed out, or vice versa, or is the center. So if the wheel is the same stance and the same structure, it can be made out of aluminum or titanium or carbon fiber or steel, and the car would never know it. But if the offset is different, then the car would know it. Got it?
Yeah, they both got 195, 65, 15s on.
Yes, but here's what you need to do. You need to put the tire and the wheel on a flat surface, one steel and one aluminum. Take a tape measure and measure from the concrete of the flat surface up to the mounting surface of the wheel, and see if both steel and aluminum wheels are the same distance from the flat surface of the concrete. And that will tell you what the offset is. You got it?
All right.
Okay.
All right.
All right, Frank.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Interesting. Could I ask another question? Is that a question we hear all the time, Fabio? I got one more question. After 20 minutes on the air, I got one more question, but that's okay. Questions are, here's something for sure. The only dumb question that I know of in the automotive repair and service industry is the one not asked. So there you go. 888-227-2546. Go to Nebraska. Brett, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Bobby, thanks for taking my phone call.
My pleasure.
I have a 2013 Ford F-150 Lariat Super Crew with 190,000 miles on it, and I use it primarily for highway driving. And here about 6 months ago, I started having noise the front right wheel. As you said earlier about using your senses. And
sure.
Anyway, so I ended up getting a new set of tires. They thought maybe the IOEs needed to be replaced, so they replaced the IOEs, and then we thought maybe it was the wheel bearing. They replaced those. And here I am still with the same noise going on.
Would you, and so that noise at 40, 45, 50 miles an hour sounds like a bearing, and it sounds you would swear coming from the front of the vehicle.
Front right, and it's kind of intermittent, so sometimes I kind of hear that moaning, kind of like it's a little bit of a grinding.
Right.
And then it kind of goes away if I turn left or right, Bobby. And I just, look, man, maybe I'm asking a dumb question. I just thought I'd ask.
No, that's a great question. In fact, I was gonna lead you to the turn, making sure that there are no police behind you. You want to find a nice, quiet road where you get this noise to occur, and then you want to swerve to the right, not jerk the wheel, but swerve to the right, which loads up the left front wheel.
Right.
Swerve to the left, which loads up the right front wheel. And by swerving left and right, you can make this noise quiet up. You can make the noise come and go. If you can make the noise come and go, then you can have a technician ride with you and that technician can help to pinpoint exactly where that bearing is coming from. And I gotta say, I had a bearing noise in my Jag at 16,000 miles, and I couldn't believe I could have a bad bearing. And with all that I'm supposed to know about cars, right? It was a tire, and it was a tire, and it was just that the tire didn't look bad, but I didn't align the car, and it only had 16,000 miles. I didn't align the car because I didn't want to put the alignment machine on the wheels because I didn't want to scratch the wheels with the little cleats. They don't scratch really, but to me they do crip on there. So anyway, bottom line, that taught me a lesson. And then I aligned the wheels, and then the next set of tires that lasted 24,000, not 16,000. So do check the wheels. And can you rotate the wheels, the tires?
I have brand new tires. Everything's been rotated. Everything's been aligned.
Okay,
I have
then.
new wheel bearings.
All right,
Yeah,
then
everything's new.
we got a Mark Bogdansky from the Auto Care Association on the line. He'll have to wait till we come back. But Brett, try left front to right and right front to left and see if the noise goes with the tires. If not, look deeper into the wheel. A 2015 Ford Escape recently came into the shop, 120,000 miles and going strong, but it was starting to hesitate, and the customer also complained of declining fuel economy. This 2-liter turbocharged engine is GDI, or gas direct injection, and special maintenance is needed in certain areas, particularly the fuel system. We suspected carbon buildup, and sure enough, using a borescope through the spark plug hole, there was definite evidence of carbon buildup. GDI engines are different in the way they inject fuel, and it can create some issues with repair and maintenance. That's why it's important to use products rated for GDI, like Berryman's 4-step professional air and fuel management maintenance kit. Each step of the process is designed with GDI engines in mind. We use the kit, and after 2 weeks on the road, the car is performing noticeably better, and MPG has improved a bit. Learn more about Berryman's 4-step professional air and fuel management maintenance kits and other great products at berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but morning's knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. A great program today, folks. I'll take your car questions soon, so call me at 888 Car Clinic. On the hotline with us now is Mark Bogdansky, Vice President of Meetings and Events for the Auto Care Association, and with me live from Apex, or Automotive Aftermarket Expo in Las Vegas. Now, Mark is the Vice President of Meetings and Events for the Auto Care Association, and is responsible for strategic planning and trade show management for the Auto Care Association, including the Apex and for HDAW. And folks, that's Heavy Duty Aftermarket Week. It's a big show. It's an annual show in Las Vegas, and to that end, Mark's going to share with us the latest on what's going on, not only in the aftermarket, but a little bit about the OEMs, the original equipment manufacturers as well. Mark, welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house.
Thank you, Bobby. Happy to be back.
You know, you must be in the middle of so much excitement there in Las Vegas. For our Car Clinic listeners and viewers out there who aren't familiar, remind us of what APEX stands for and how does APEX help the automotive industry?
Sure. APEX is the show for the entire industry. We have everybody there for the entire supply chain, from the manufacturers that are making the parts all the way down to the service professionals that are installing the parts and everybody in between. And we are there to make sure that we are putting everything out in front of everybody as to what's going to help them keep their customers' cars on driving on the road all year long.
Well, we all know, Mark, that cars are changing at such a rapid pace. I mean, and soon with all the driverless cars coming up and all the EVs on board, folks, this is not an easy industry to stay on top of. So, Mark, touch on base with us the different educational training sessions that are part of the APEX event as well.
Yeah, you know, Bobby, I think that's a great point. There are so many new things that are coming into the market all the time, right? And they're going to hit the aftermarket really, really soon. They're going to be seen in shops really soon. So for the last couple of years, we've really ramped up not only our regular kind of training about how to run your shop, and we have some management training on how to, you know, run your shop and 7 steps to a sale and how to make sure your shop's successful and service operations. But we've actually taken it a little bit farther, and we're doing full-on hybrid training. We have an intro to hybrid vehicles class, so that way if you've never done it before, you learn that it's not a scary proposition to be working on a hybrid car. We have stuff on battery technologies. We have electrical training. We're doing all of those things that we can get people to start understanding what these EVs and these alternative fuel cars are going to look like.
That's a big job, and I'm glad that your organization is doing it because we, as recipients of that information, independent shops across America, really need a guiding hand. I understand there were a few big announcements at the year's events in APEX. What were they, and how will they help prepare shops like Bobby Likis Car Clinic and those across the nation for the future?
Yeah, Bobby, we are making this the place that you and all of your listeners absolutely have to come to. And what the big announcement was that we are so excited about is that starting next year at Apex in 2020, we are launching our Repair Shop HQ, Repair Shop headquarters location at the show. It is going to be anything and everything that the shops need to keep their business running, the equipment they need, the different tools they need. We're putting in a tire section, an entire accessory section, and we're expanding our training so that we're going to be bringing in some of the top names in training for underhood, undercar, electric vehicles. For those folks that specialize in exhaust systems and the shops that specialize in exhaust systems, we're going to be doing training for them, really growing everything that the shops need for them and for their technicians to be able to come and see everything in one location.
Well, that's really great. We're talking with Mark Bogdansky, Vice President of Meetings and Events for the Auto Care Association. So, Mark, are there any industry challenges or issues that were specifically showcased at the show?
Yeah, there are a couple big ones. You know, the first thing that everybody hears about at top of mind is how to recruit and retain the top talent, right? That's the biggest challenge, not only for the technicians, but for everybody. You know, we all hear about the technician shortage, and we provided a couple different ways of potentially battling that in your local community. The biggest thing that we are focused right now on, though, quite honestly, is who's going to control the data that the vehicle is creating. So as we all know, the more and more that cars are becoming like computers or being run by computers, they're generating a ridiculous amount of data on a regular basis. And our big push right now is to make sure that the consumer has the opportunity to decide where that vehicle data and that vehicle repair data is going, whether it goes to their local shop or if they want to send it to a dealer repair shop, whatever the case may be. It's up to the consumer. The OEs, the vehicle manufacturers, are trying to block that and make it so that that way they're the only ones that can actually get that information from the cars, which is going to force people to go to their dealers and their repair shops rather than being able to go to repair shop of choice from the consumer. And that's one of the major things that we're talking about.
That is a major, and now you hit my hot button, Mark. And folks, what Mark is saying here is that designers of new cars and the OEs, that's the original equipment manufacturers, that's the Ford, the Chevy, any of the manufacturers are making these cars specifically with the goal in mind that if you need service, you're driven back to the dealer. Now, to that end, the Apex is an aftermarket event. So given the large number of autos and automakers attending the Apex, what goes on there? Why is that? That's kind of unusual that the automakers would attend the aftermarket unit, right?
Well, I think the automakers come because they want to see primarily the manufacturers and the parts that they're putting together. You know, the automakers are still using a lot of aftermarket parts in their service stations. So it's not just a matter of what they're doing on the front end, but we just need to be cognizant of everything they're trying to do with all of our data and everything else, and we welcome them in to see all the different aftermarket parts of things that they should be doing in their service centers as well.
Well, no doubt about it that when they see, like the entrepreneurs that present different items and different products at Apex, then they incorporate those, and a huge incorporation of such products would be aluminum and mag wheels, folks. You can order wheels from manufacturers on your car. Those wheels originally were aftermarket devices, so to that end, I think that's a good thing. In fact, Mark, highlight some of the featured companies and products from this year's show.
You know, we have every major manufacturer there. So we have ZF making huge announcements about some of their TRW brakes. We have Bosch that's there doing huge announcements about some of their ADAS stuff. We have Autel doing some ADAS, the automated driving system, and how in your shop you can actually start repairing these and set up your shop to do those things correctly. Scheffler and Sensata had a lot of announcements relating to brakes and tire accessories and things that they were doing. Those are just a few. I mean, if you look at our website, apexshow.com, you'll find we had over 2,500 companies there. It's really hard for me to pull out the top one or two because we have so many that are so important right now for our industry.
Well, Mark, to that end, if you can repeat where our Car Clinic listeners and viewers can go for more information.
So I'm actually going to throw out two websites for you.
Okay.
The first one for the show is apexshow.com. That's AAPEX show.com. The other one I'm going to throw out there for you is yourcaryourdata.org. And I think it's important that all of your listeners get out there and go. We have a petition on there that we're asking you to sign to say that we want the consumers to be able to control where their data is going, and that's yourcaryourdata.org.
Well, that is true. Yourcardata.org. And folks, this is important for you to go there so that you can get your own voice out there and you can understand what you're speaking for or what happens, so you can be proactive rather than to wait for something or some new law to come in that will dictate what you can and cannot do. And Mark, I think that's a very important aspect of your company and your organization. So again, www.autocare.org is also one of the websites as well. Mark, thank you so much for joining us on Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I have to say hats off to you, to your organization, and all your teammates for the work that they're doing on behalf of not only aftermarket independent service shops, but also the consumers who drive their cars and depend on them every day to go back and forth to work and to church on the weekends and other. I mean, transportation is our freedom indeed, and you're all part of that. Hats off to you and your teammates.
Well, thank you, Bobby. And you know, we talked about it last year. I'm going to insist that next year you come and you do a show live from our floor next year when we're in Vegas in November.
Sounds like a winner to me. Thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you next November in Las Vegas. Meanwhile, Mark, thanks for joining us on Bobby Likis Car Clinic today.
Thanks for having me, Bobby.
And again, folks, that was yourcaryourdata.org. If you would want to make sure that you know who's going to get your car and your data from your car. And just know this, the black box that's in your automobile records whether or not you have your seatbelt on, records at what speed you would have if you had a crash and you were traveling, and whether or not that you had your foot on the brake or on the gas pedal. Even could record the trajectory of the vehicle versus the steering wheel of the vehicle. If you're trying to steer your way out of an accident and you're turning to the right and the car's skidding to the left, then the recording device knows, data recording device knows that. So who owns that? Who owns that information? Well, that's you do. But make no mistake about it, and there's already been this case years ago, 10 years ago, or even better. There was a gentleman driving a Corvette and running 100, and as memory serves me, now I could be wrong here, but as I remember, 110 miles per hour through a traffic light. And his data recorder actually recorded that. Didn't know where the traffic light was, but when he was taken to jail. So there you go. Don't go to jail. Don't speed, or go past jail. What is a monopoly? Let's go to Gary in New York. I hate to waste my mind this morning. Gary, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you so much for holding. You're on the air now.
Hi, Bobby. How you doing?
I'm great.
So
I'm great.
About 2 years ago, I had a 3/4 shift problem in my 2008 GMC Sierra.
Yes, sir.
4L60E transmission.
Right.
I replaced that transmission myself, bought a used one, put it on, and almost 1 year to the date, the transmission had the exact same problem. I paid someone to rebuild the transmission. Hopefully that fixes it. But is there anything that I would be doing that would be causing that, or is there anything I can look out for to prevent it in the future?
I would.
Or is that just endemic of the transmission?
It's endemic of the transmission, but because you know that, you can take proactive steps. What I would recommend would be to use a high-quality synthetic transmission fluid, and I would change it every 30,000 miles, 50,000 on the outside. And that's really all you can do to sustain the operation of that. Now, here's a concern that I have, Gary, because you bought a used transmission. I mean, it's too little, too late here, but I want to share this with you because it's something that others who might have a similar vehicle, an 08 GMC or Chevrolet truck, they need to understand this might help them. And for those folks who may be facing a transmission replacement, this is excellent news. And if I had spoken with you on the first go-around, this is what I would advise you to do. There are companies that remanufacture transmissions. Rebuilding a transmission locally is not the same as remanufacturing the transmission. To rebuild a transmission means to replace the parts that are worn out and or broken, like a worn out clutches that burned and the drum is burned up, so you had to replace the drum and the clutches, and all of the seals and gaskets in the transmission. That's rebuilding. It's called overhauling. It's the same thing. And years ago, California actually came out with this description because consumers were so confused because they said, well, I had my transmission overhauled. Like you just told me, I had it overhauled. I bought a used one. I had it rebuilt. Those are all fixes, temporary fixes. To remanufacture a transmission means to specifically return all of the mating surfaces to the same dimensions they were within factory specs. So that means that the front pump that came out of your used transmission right now is going to be used over again. Well, it pumps, it's fine, but there is wear in that pump. So a remanufacturer would not use that pump over. They would replace that pump with a new one. Or they would resurface the rotors in the pump and the particular, it depends on the type of pump. If it is, whatever was least expensive to them, they either go with a new one or they would resurface the old one. But regardless, either the resurfaced old one or the new one would be to factory specs. Now, I'll give you a name of a company, and they're not a sponsor of ours, but we use their product in our service shop, and their products are expensive, but we found them to be the best. And whenever I get in a situation where I want to have a particular issue with a vehicle, or I think there would be an issue, like in your case, there's inherent problems with those transmissions, I would go with, it's called a Jasper transmission, and they're in Jasper, Indiana, and we install those because not only, and we put a Hemi Chrysler in one of my best friends, longest friends, 07 Hemi, because the 07, 8, 9, 6 Hemis had an issue with valve seats that fell out of the aluminum head. They're Stellite valve seats that fell out of the aluminum head and destroyed the engine. So I put a Jasper because the Jasper transmission had a fix for an update and all of the old built-in issues So when you bought a remanufactured transmission, you're not only buying the remanufactured transmission that fits your 07, 08 car, it's to 18 specs or 19 specs. For you, I'm going to say run that transmission and then change the fluid every 30,000 miles. You do not have to pull the pan. You can take it to a shop where they use a machine to extract the old fluid and put the new one in with conditioners, and that's what I would do. Hey, thanks so much for your call, Gary.
Yeah, thank you.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic was brought to you in part today by Motorrad, your first choice for vehicle thermostats, closure caps, and engine management. Learn more about their products and the industry-leading application coverage at Motorrad.com. That's Motorrad.com. That's all the time for this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I'll remind you, another great hour coming up. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Folks, you never want to get surprised by a dead battery. A vehicle's original battery generally lasts about 3 to 5 years, but many fail long before then. Next time you're in for an oil service, have the technician test your battery. Better now than too late. Today's vehicles have start-stop systems, navigation, radio amplifiers, electric fuel pumps, 25 or more onboard computer modules, and serious electronic controls that depend on a strong, fully charged battery. Make sure the car you're driving has a healthy battery. Make yourself a note. Go to autobatteries.com and see for yourself how a battery can keep you safely driving down the road or put you on the side, just like that. At autobatteries.com, you'll see battery technology, battery testing, how to choose the battery, how to jumpstart your battery, and more about AGM batteries, my choice. I'm not here to make you a battery expert, rather to help you better understand why a reliable battery is essential for your road trips. Go to autobatteries.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulsiford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulsiford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's vehicle protection program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. As I mentioned, if you missed the first hour, I have a couple of OBD2 Diagnostics Made Easy books that courtesy and compliments of Steve Cook, the author, and I'm going to be giving those away to two individual. Now, if you're a do-it-yourselfer or a technician of sorts, you would love these books. If you don't work on your automobile, and that's not what you normally do, then you don't need to even worry about asking for the book. You don't have to ask for it, but if you call in, Hannah will take your name and number and put you in the queue, and at the end of this hour, about 55 minutes after the hour, I will draw out names, and we will send to 2 lucky people this OBD2 book, and I'll tell you a little more about that a little bit later on. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part this morning by FordParts.com. I love those FordParts.com. I love Motorcraft, Omnicraft. I love all of the parts from the OEM makers because they fit and they work and they're quality. The FordParts.com features free FedEx ground shipping to all 50 states on qualifying purchases of $75 or more before tax on FordParts.com. You can find it, buy it, and get back to work. Fancy that. Work. Did I say work? This is not work. This is fun. Okay, let's have some fun. 888-227-2546. You and me in the phones when I come back. Don't touch that dial. Time for another edition of Cooling System Q&A brought to you by Motorrad, your first choice for vehicle thermostats and caps. Why is the thermostat so important? Cooling system regulates engine temperature and helps prevent overheating. While it's comprised of several components, the thermostat plays a critical role with efficient cooling system operation. It must regulate coolant flow properly to maintain a specific engine operating temperature in addition to providing quick warm-up. Motorrad's new stainless steel thermal element Ultrastat is unmatched for corrosion resistance. Its revolutionary Reax wax mixture provides quicker reaction time. The Ultrastat also features bilinear valve technology, which prevents thermal shock to cooling system components, gradually increasing coolant flow versus instant maximum flow found in traditional thermostats. The Ultrastat precisely controls engine temperature to ensure the lowest emission standards, maximum fuel efficiency, and terrific interior cabin comfort. The Motorrad Ultrastat line is the perfect thermostat upgrade option with coverage for over 160 million vehicles on the road today. Motorrad, leading the way in coverage and service. Car repairs get expensive, and most of us don't have the money for them. That's where brands like K-Seal can really be a lifesaver. If you've had a car with a coolant leak, you know how expensive it can be. It's not usually the newer, higher-dollar vehicles that have leaks. It's the older vehicles, say $900 to $2,000 range, the cars we depend on for daily transportation and other vital tasks. If you're experiencing a coolant leak and the repair cost exceeds the value of your car, you don't necessarily have to take your car off the road. Try using K-Seal. We've seen our share of these in our shop where, before K-Seal, once a diagnosis was made of a leaking intake gasket, radiator, heater core, or head gasket, the car was sent for recycling and the owner had to purchase another. Before giving it up, try K-Seal. It's a pour-in solution that just may allow you to keep your car longer without spending more on repairs than the car is worth. Find K-Seal at automotive retailers everywhere like AutoZone and get more information at kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for tuning in every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time. Now remember that, Eastern Time. Right here, we come to you from the center of the automotive universe, which is really a cool studio. The floor weighs like 10,000 pounds. I'll tell you, living on the Gulf Coast of Florida, when and if the next Ivan hurricane comes, folks, this is where I'll be. and probably about 150 people. Now, the room probably wouldn't hold about 30, but 150 people would try to get in here because it's bulletproof. Okay, 888 Car Clinic is the number for you to call. Again, I'm going to give away 2 books that Steve Cook gave to me. Now, Steve spent, and let me just share a little bit about him. He spent 20 years as an ASE L1 and Master Certified Automotive Technician, and he specialized in electrical and drivability repairs. That's just really all I'll tell you about him. When you specialize in drivability repairs, it means that, let's say your car runs like Attila the Hun with you, and then you take it into a service shop and it runs like Miss Manners. I mean, think about it. I mean, isn't it true that just about the time that you drive up to the service shop, that noise goes away or the car straightens out, and you walk up to the service desk and hand someone the keys and says, oh, my car's doing this, and, well, take a ride. Well, it's not doing it today. That is really when the diagnostics becomes more hard, and then the time involved, and time is money. So it's good for you to know more about how your car operates. Why? So that when you go to a shop like mine or your shop across the nation, you'll be able to communicate. Communication is the key, and that's really what I'm not here to fix your car. I'm here to help you communicate. To that end, for a couple of lucky people, I'm going to give away these 2 books, OBD2 Diagnostics Made Easy by Steve Cook. He's a gentleman. He's been on the air before. The book that I'm giving away is one that he gave to me and is autographed by him. So I'm going to pass it off to one of you lucky winners. You don't have to do anything except you do have to participate in the program. You call with a car question, and I'll put your name in the hat at the end of this hour. About 55 minutes or so after the hour, I'll draw your name out of the hat. Again, 888 Car Clinic. It's 888-227-2546. Let's take a call from New York. New York, an 08 Hyundai. Let's put, I'm not sure. Help me to understand your name.
Ike Studgen.
Ike. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, Ike. Thanks for holding.
Thank you.
What can I do for you?
The question is, I got 2 questions. First question is, I have a 2018 Toyota Avalon Touring, and to get heat out of it, I have to turn the dial up to 75. And to me, 70 is 70. Is that normal?
Well, it depends on the ambient temperature and the temperature within the automobile. Now, believe it or not, with some cars, and this is really, it happened to us, I don't know, about 6 months ago. A gentleman put that brought a Ford, and it wasn't your brand of vehicle, but still applies. A gentleman bought a Ford in here, and the dash readout was in error. It didn't read the right temperature. What he had done, he had replaced the exterior mirrors on this Ford truck with aftermarket mirrors. Well, believe it or not, the passenger side outside mirror had the sensor that told the dash the temperature of the outside. And as a result, the air conditioner and the heater system did not work correctly because it didn't have a sensor. It was like seized on one number, and that was the number that was last registered to that mirror when he took it off. And so we said, well, how long have you had this problem since you put the mirrors on? Well, he couldn't say because it was during the summertime, and of course you don't use much of a swing of temperature in the summertime. So the bottom line, we ended up having to put the original mirrors back on, and that fixed this problem. I said all that to say this: your vehicle has a similar sensor, and you need to have an ASE trained certified technician to use a scan tool to measure, to make sure that the sensor is sending the signal to the body control module, which is another black box, and that will give you or him the information and give you the next step. Now, in the meantime, if it's working and you have to turn it up to 75, so be it, because winter doesn't last. Well, I don't know, there in New York it gets real cold. Does it really get warm enough in their vehicle for you, Ike?
If I turn it up, yes. But
Well,
it's a new vehicle, more than new. I had it back to the dealer twice. They said that's the way it works, but I don't. To me, 7 degrees should be 7 degrees.
Well, it depends on the head, on the margin. And the margin is this. Let's say in a home temperature, let's say you set it at 70 degrees, and then the temperature drops to 69. Well, the air conditioner's not going to, the heater's not going to come on. It will have to see about 2 degrees differential.
Okay.
And that's called headroom. Now, let's say that it's at 70 degrees and then the house temperature goes to 72. The air conditioner should come on. So there has to be, and if you think about it, between air conditioning and heat, there's a 4-degree spread. And the reason for that is because you can't have an air conditioning system or a heating system going hot, cold, hot, cold. You have to be settled in long enough on a specific temperature before the system automatically changes. The same thing is true for your car, and to that end, I'm not sure that you have a problem, and I think I would agree with the dealer on this part. I'm sure you can find a lot better places to spend your money on your vehicle versus trying to chase a problem that's probably not there. Did that help you?
Okay, I hear you, but I was just trying to see because I wanted to get it straight while I was still under warranty, and but I didn't like what they told me.
Well, I understand that. Well, I appreciate your trust in me, and under this situation, I think they're shooting straight with you.
Okay, the other question is 2008 Hyundai Elantra.
Okay.
How often should I change that transmission fluid?
Well, that's a loaded question. I'm going to say no less than 50,000 miles, but no sooner than 30,000. And the way I say it, we created a pre-repair, which is a prevention of repair program, all based on replacing the lifebloods of the vehicle. And the lifebloods are, as you know, power steering, coolant, engine oil, transfer case if you have a 4x, differential, and brake fluid. If you change the fluids regularly in the vehicle, I mean, think about it. The red blood cells in our body replenish all the time. If not, we die. I mean, we die in I don't know how many hours. There's a certain length of time there. Well, in your car, like power steering, people never change power steering. So why does a power steering rack go bad? Because of the dirt that just travels around and the metal inside. So changing the fluids, whether it's lubricants or coolants or brake fluid, always enhances the life of the vehicle. There's nothing but good about doing that, and I recommend that. In fact, I think you should concentrate on the total car, not just the transmission. You got it?
Okay.
Okay. Thanks for your call.
Thank you. Bye
You're
now.
welcome. That's a good question. You know, what is maintenance? Well, maintenance is obsolete, folks, because it's incomplete. Let's go to Scott in Texas. Scott, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Oh, hey, how you doing today?
Terrific. How about yourself? Where you live in Texas?
I live in Chandler, Texas.
Chandler, Texas. Is that near Tyler?
It certainly is. I'm just south of Tyler.
That's a loaded question because I know our station's in Tyler. That's the reason I said that. I mean, I don't know where Chandler is. I don't even know where Tyler is. But anyway, thanks for your call. What can I do for you, Scott?
All right. My question today is actually about a 2006 Suzuki GZ250 motorcycle. And the issue I'm having is that I put a new battery on it, and when I'm riding around at night, you know how the headlights are always on. Well, not just the headlight, but all of my lights have started strobing and getting really dim, and almost like I'm having a grounding issue.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't really figure that one out. Is it? What would be the best way to test to find out if it's the battery, the stator,
how old is the battery?
The regulator?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. And, you know, how old is the battery that's currently in the vehicle?
Less than 2 months.
Less than 2 months. Was this condition there with the old? Did you replace the old battery because of this condition, or because you had a problem with it?
Because I had a problem with the battery.
Okay, but not this problem. This is a new problem.
Yeah, this is new.
Okay, here's what I want you to do. It's the simplest thing to do, because I don't know the answer to the question, but here's what I would do. Always start at the problem. I would disconnect that battery in that vehicle, in that motorcycle, and I would look at the terminals and clean the terminals and reconnect those terminals. Even if they looked okay, I'd still do it, so that when you tighten the bolt that holds the terminal, you know if it tightens or indeed, oh, this wasn't tight after all. It looked tight, but it wasn't. And then I would check the ground for the main battery ground. And then if that didn't change it, and you know, don't spend any money first. Do that first. Even though did you put the battery in the car?
I did. I installed the battery on the motorcycle. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, take it back out or do it over again, because you might have made a mistake, and I want to make sure you don't go chasing rabbits, with money. So do that first.
Oh yeah.
And then check the ground like you were thinking of doing, And then if that doesn't cure it, then you're going to have to take it in where somebody that has a machine that can test the with an oscilloscope and can check the wave pattern of the alternator that's on the vehicle. You got it?
All right.
Okay. All right, my friend. Thank you for your call. I'll put your name in the hat as well for the book. Bobby Likis, I'm your host. I'll be back after the break. Don't touch that dial. In the service bay this week, an 05 Chevy Silverado. The truck was experiencing a front brake noise and a pull to the left when stopping. We performed a thorough inspection and found the front pads completely worn out on the driver's side. The passenger side looked to be okay, but we noticed a loose wheel bearing on that side. Why would the pads be worn on just one side? It was a seized driver's side brake caliper. So we replaced the pads and rotors on the front along with the driver's side caliper. Also replaced the passenger side wheel bearing. Our parts choice for the repair, Omnicraft. With today's complex vehicles, not every part works or works well. Quality, fit, and function is a belief system in my shop. Approved and backed by Ford Motor Company for most non-Ford and non-Lincoln vehicles, Omnicraft quality brake parts will help ensure vehicle reliability and longevity. Learn more about Omnicraft brakes and other Omnicraft parts at omnicraftautoparts.com. Omnicraft Auto Parts, backed by Ford. Being car care aware is important all year round, but winter is an especially critical time as harsher conditions can strain your automobile. Here are a few items to check, courtesy of the Car Care Council. Winter means shorter days and longer nights. It's a great time to make sure interior and exterior lights are working properly, and don't forget to make sure your headlights are properly aimed. This item is often overlooked. The best way to warm up your engine in the winter is to drive gently at the start. Make sure your ice scraper and snow brush are accessible, and replenish your emergency kit. Jumper cables, a flashlight, blankets, extra clothes, bottled water, non-perishable food, and a first aid kit with any medication that may be needed. It may seem like a lot, but better safe than sorry. For more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules, visit carcare.org. And while you're there, order a free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove compartment. That's carcare.org.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip.
From Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. The phones are jammed. Chris, I see you from Pennsylvania, and Mark from New York, and Carol. Oh, Carol from New York. How cool. And Victor from Washington, always. Victor is a very intuitive, intelligent individual that always has great questions. So everyone in the pot right now, you stay right there. But I want to share this with you. It's from our partners at the Car Care Council. Don't let, this is so cool, folks, you'll appreciate this. Don't let your car gobble up your hard-earned money. Well, that's a fact. For more information, including the Car Care Guide that we talk about, you can go to carcare.org. So you're busy preparing for another holiday season, but don't let the car take a back seat. And considering the following items, and I'll share those with you quickly from the Car Care Council. Check the tires, including the pressure and the tread. Uneven wear indicates a need for wheel alignment and or low or too high pressure. Check the hoses and the belts that become cracked and brittle over time. All cars, no exception. Whatever you drive, there's no exception here. Check the hoses and the belts, and check the wipers. How easy is the wipers? And folks, you can go to O'Reilly Auto Parts, and they'll install the wipers for you when you go there. The Car Care Council has a free personalized schedule and easy reminder service on site. And believe it or not, I'm in the business, but I signed up so that I would know more about what my partner offered. And sure enough, about 3 weeks ago, I get a note in the mail saying your Jag needs to have the oil changed. And you know what? It was like within 600 miles of the right mileage. I was blown away. And the last one was 300 miles. So for information, you go to carcare.org, you put in your VIN number, you put in how many miles you drive a year, and then you sign up, and they send it to you, and you don't get spam mail. They don't send you multiple emails. It's just great car care information that doesn't allow your car to gobble up your hard-earned dollars, according to the Car Care Council. Our friends and our partners there. Okay, we'll go back to the phones. Let's take a call from Mark in New York. Mark, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Hi, Bobby. This is a simple question, I think, for you. I have a 1961 Dodge. I've had it for 39 years.
Okay.
It runs fine, but I've got numerous gasket leaks, soft plug leak.
Sure.
And I want to know the best way to find a reputable mechanic, an auto shop that can work on this. I'm not really sure the best way to find a reputable shop.
I got it. I'm with you. I got it. I'm absolutely. It's a Chrysler product, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when I bought a Viper, before the Viper was ever delivered, I joined the Viper Club of America. And I knew more about the Viper when it got here than I ever imagined that I could read online, because I was a member of the Viper Club. Now, surely, there are Chevrolet Clubs of America and Chrysler Clubs of America. So I recommend that you do a Google search for Chrysler Club of America or National Clubs, because that would be a local cadre of friends that you could call a Jack or a Jerry or a Bobby or a Frank and say, hey, I've got an older car. Who do you use? Who can you recommend in my area that will work on this older car? And then you'll get the inside scoop from a localized person that understands and has been there and done that. That is the best way that you can find a local technician for what's called a classic car, or a car that's not, mainstream. Any questions?
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, and one more, and this is a notch above, and it's not as direct, but I want to share this with you. ASA is the Automotive Service Association, of which I'm a member and have been for years. Go to, in addition to the club, which is my first choice, go to asashop.org, asashop.org, and then you can put in a 5 or 10 mile radius, and there'll be a half a dozen shops, and you can, from the comfort of your own home, pick up the phone and call these half a dozen shops and say, do you know a Tom, Dick, or a Harry that specializes in older cars? And I guarantee you there will be local service shops. While they don't work on older cars, they know who does. You got it?
Oh, beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful.
All right,
I do
Mark.
appreciate it, sir.
I appreciate you. Have a great day. We'll take another call from, let's go to the longest waiting, Chris in Pennsylvania so far. Chris, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you, Bobby, for taking my call.
You're welcome.
Happy holidays
Thank
to
you.
you
Right back
and
at
yours.
you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your.
I was made aware of some information yesterday and was interested in your reaction to it.
Okay.
Apparently, new car prices have gone through the roof. The average car purchased today is about $38,000. Maintenance and repair costs have also gone crazy, and the repo business is really booming. Also, 8-year car loans have also become fairly common. And I'm wondering, by the end of an 8-year car loan, you've got an 8-year-old car and very possibly need to start that cycle all over again.
Right.
My idea is, and I'm not sure whether it's feasible, is for the manufacturer to extend the manufacturer's warranty to whatever the term of the loan is. And at least it might, make those expenses for maintenance and repair a little bit more palatable.
So you're asking me if I think that's feasible?
if you think it's feasible, or if there's any other way for somebody with, and this information was based on a middle-class salary, an average middle-class salary.
Understood. Understood. But hence the 8-year financing.
Yeah. And I'm just wondering, if you got any suggestions to make it more feasible for somebody in that income bracket.
That's tough, Chris. That's a conundrum. I mean, it really is tough, and I'll tell you why. The very people that cannot afford, and gosh, that's a great question. And one that you'll have to come back on the air with me in the next week or next 2 weeks, and let's do a little more research, because the very people that depend on an 8-year finance are the very people that think they can't afford repairs or maintenance.
Yeah, that's right.
So you're dancing with an intermediate income and an individual and individuals who can't really afford a new car, but their old car was worn out, so they have to get wheels to go back and forth to work and to live. Right. And so by doing so, the manufacturers or the lending institutions make it easy for them to drive a car because they can't afford the numbers, so they extend the financing 8 years. I'm really not good with that, because what that ends up, they end up upside down in the car, as you know. So which means they owe more on the car than the car is worth, so they can't trade it in unless they get deeper into the hole. You see where I'm going?
Exactly.
That is a great question. Maybe we'll get AutoNation or one of the larger Sonic, or one of the larger institutions of maybe a Penske, someone from the Penske organization in finance and sales, to come on and have a similar discussion. I think this is a bigger question than what we have time, considering I got the phone bank here. But
I appreciate it.
But Chris,
yeah.
I want you to know that is a whale of a question. I'm going to, Jonathan, let's put Chris back on hold, because, Chris, I want to make sure I get your number and your email address, and let's stay in contact, because you're talking about socioeconomics, and you're talking about the real world question here is, how can I make this car last longer? And to that end, it is essential for individuals in that category to visit their shops at least twice a year, so they can stay ahead of the breakdown curve, because they can't afford to fix the breakdown curve.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's a hell of a question, man. I'm glad you called me today, and don't stay a stranger. Come back, and I will put you on hold, and Hannah's going to take your numbers and what have you, because that is a very interesting topic that we should talk about more. Okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Bobby.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Folks, I will tell you, you talk about a bullet between the head. That's a very pointed question that really affects a lot of people in the United States and globally as well. Let's go to Kansas and talk with Kyle. Kyle, thank you for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Sure thing. Thanks, Bobby. I've got a 2015 GMC Yukon. Recently, we're at about 115,000 miles, more or less, on it, mostly highway miles, pretty easy.
Okay.
And just had the transmission replaced, not at the dealership, but had it at a transmission exchange, and had that. The reason we took it in, had codes coming up, thought it was a solenoid, and kind of chased it, and had the whole transmission rebuilt, pretty much front to back.
Okay.
And I've got, going from neutral to first gear, a pretty abrupt kind of a jerk, and almost like it stays in neutral until you get to maybe 1,400, 1,600 RPMs, and then it engages very abruptly into first gear. I've had it on 3 different computers, and, all they're telling us is to go through and take that transmission out again. I like the guy that did it locally. I know he's probably underwater on the repairs on it and everything like that, and was wondering if you had some advice on how to go about it. The dealership would want to take the transmission out again. We're not under warranty or anything like that, so really don't want to get too much deeper into this financially,
right.
But I really don't know where to turn on this thing.
Well, it's ironic that you would call about this, because we had a caller in the first hour of today's broadcast about a transmission issue, and we talked about the difference between overhaul, rebuild, and reman, and new.
Mm-hmm.
And in California, years ago, they explicitly wrote what am I looking? What's the word I'm looking for, Jonathan?
The description. Yeah, there you go. Duh. They wrote the description of an overhaul or a rebuild. An overhaul or a rebuild on the transmission, it's just to replace the parts that are broken or burned or don't work any longer. All the other stuff is used. All the other gears is used. Okay, that's a remanufacturer. Of course, a new means brand new. A remanufacturer means that all of the specifications for all the hard parts, like the front pump to plate surface, the torque converter, the drums, the clutches, the bearings and bushes are all returned to manufacturer specifications. So that's why a reman transmission is better than a rebuilt transmission. That's why a new transmission is superior. So we do in our business one of two things. We use a quality used transmission if the client doesn't have the cash to go with a new one, but we also up that price to include an extended warranty on that used transmission. And we do that maybe 40% of the time, but the other 60% we do either reman or new. The short answer to your question, anytime that you have to increase RPM to get a transmission to engage, it means there's not enough pressure at idle or low RPM, and that means you have an internal pressure leak or you have a worn part that creates the pressure. So the bad news, it's got to come back out and be taken apart and either rebuilt or replaced. I'm sorry, don't shoot the messenger here, Kyle, but thanks for your call, and let us know when you get to the other side what happens. I'll be back, folks. Folks, recently a 99 Chevrolet Blazer came into the shop. The owner was having problems with hesitation upon acceleration. He'd already changed out several parts: spark plugs, wires, ignition coil, mass airflow sensor, fuel filter, and the air filter element. He even changed the thermostat and coolant temperature sensor. Still had the same problem after putting a lot of money in this car, and he was frustrated. We dug a little deeper, cleaned the throttle body, and checked for trouble codes. No codes. So we recommended Berryman B12 Chem Tool. Carbon deposits and dirty fuel injector nozzles are a common problem with drivability in late model engines. We also recommended a higher quality gasoline. The customer noticed improvement on the first day, and only a few days and a few hundred miles later, the problem was completely gone. Berryman B12 Chem Tool features HEST, Berryman's exclusive high-energy solvent technology. The result is a more complete combination of available chemical technologies. Drive to BerrymanProducts.com for more information. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Gas prices nationally, $2.59. Here's the point. The gas prices are lower in 7 of the 10 regions across the nation than they were this time last year, and they're lower in 9 of the 10 areas this time last week. So what's driving that? The low price? I would think it's a combination of course, politics, the price of crude, and of course the electric vehicles just looking for a way to get into the market. So if you have $5 a gallon gasoline, folks, all of a sudden the EV is going to look like a really great solution. Make no mistake about it, the EVs are going to be with us a lot more and a lot sooner than we all think. Let's go to let's go to Washington and talk with Victor. He's been on hold, and then we're going to go to Carol in New York. I can't wait to talk to Carol in New York. I think I know what that's about. But Victor, welcome to Bobby Likis Welcome back to Bobby Likis Carpenter. How you doing?
Pretty good. Thanks, Bobby. And you're sounding real good today.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
I was wondering on a lifespan, if a person's going to buy a new car or something, or how long will it be before the car gets to the point that it's just too expensive to keep up and basically goes to the scrapyard or in between or where?
That's a great question. We have a customer John, who owns a Tundra, and I've spoken about this car several times. It's a Tundra pickup truck, has 500,000 miles plus on it. Now, one of the things that we have installed and replaced time and time again are the brakes. That's because of the way he drives it, and he drives off-road and those sorts of things. But we have serviced that vehicle since it had 6,000 miles. At 298,000, we put a transmission in it, and then we tried to search around for finding a transmission, and we talked to some local folks, and we learned that like only 6 transmissions in our whole region had gone bad in the Tundra. The bottom line is the Toyota Tundra V8 powered truck is like bulletproof. Now, are all cars that way? Absolutely not. But the longevity of a vehicle, as in any machine, depends on the maintenance that is provided for that vehicle along its lifetime, excluding software. And software, I'm not talking about electronic software. I'm talking about interior. Sun damage for interior, UV damage to paint, weather stripping for the doors, rattles and squeaks and water leaks and all those things that, and I'm thinking of my own car here that has some sticky buttons because Jaguar used some kind of clear coat for the tactile to make it feel good, and then after the UV and the heat in Florida got to it, now all of my buttons are sticky, and it's about $6,000 to repair because you got to replace every button in the car. Now, that's driving me to want another car, except the car is still like new. It only has 65,000 miles. So, Victor, there is no definitive set in stone time for that, but I will say this. Depending on the use of an automobile and depending on the income of the individual buying the automobile, you could perhaps lease a car and replace that car every 3 years and have a note and never have any equity, and that works for some people. It doesn't work for me. I like to own things, but it does work for some people. So you've got to, and then in final, Victor, if you drive the new off of an automobile, you got to put the new back on it, and that means tires, brakes, steerings, rack and pinions, fluids, the whole 9 yards. So like as you could tell, that's bigger than a bread box. But that's a great question. Any follow-up comment?
Well, I was just wondering, with all the computers on there, your car has a certain amount of jostling, and there's moisture on those little wires, and I guess there's thousands of miles of wires and all those computers. I was wondering if it came a point to where the computers just basically got too old, where they didn't operate right, and to replace all of them would just be too expensive. So even though a lot of the car might still be good, there'd be some areas that, being this is so expensive, you'd scrap it.
Well, you would think so, except that the newer the car gets and the more computers are on the vehicle, the finer the quality of the network in the vehicle. So what we found is that a certain era, I mean, in the 90s, the late 80s, yeah, those cars were worn out. The average age of the car on American highways is like 11.5 years. It's the oldest in the history. Why? Because they were better when they were built. Not because the public is taking better care of their car, I can tell you that. It's because the car is better new, so it's better used. So anyway, the life of to cut to the chase, the life of a vehicle depends on the care provided to that vehicle and the environment in which it is driven. That's the shortest I think that's the shortest answer I've ever given. Victor, let me put you back on hold. Don't hang up because we need to get your information. Then thank you for your call. Always love to hear from folks in Washington. And now we're going to go to Arkansas. Phil, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us today.
It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Hey, look, the dog's got to go away.
And the dogs like you too.
I know. What's the dog?
I'm here in the middle of Kern country. Kermit Womack is my hero, and I have one other hero, and that's Bobby Likis. And I know Kermit can't tell me much about how to fix a car, so that's why I thought I'd ask you something today.
Well, you are a lucky man because Kermit is the man. He is the colonel. I will tell you, he is my hero, and I've never met that individual. Just like Captain Jim in Las Vegas, Captain Jim was John Wayne's captain on his boat. And while I've never met Captain Jim, I feel like we've been friends and have for a long time. And the same is true for the Colonel. How can I help you with your vehicle, though? That's my goal today.
Bobby, I've got an '89 Buick Riviera. And the little thing has broken my heart. I cannot get my fans to operate. They're electric fans, as you know. Mm-hmm. And I have asked several mechanics about it. They want to plug me into a machine, charge me $130 an hour, and I don't want to do that. I thought maybe you can help me. Tell me if there is any relay or anything other than the little relay that's under the hood in that long box.
Well, I wish that I could. I was trying to think while you're answering me that question what I could say that would be really cute, but I'm not going to make jokes here. The bottom line is the fan. Okay, here's what you can do. Here's what you need to know first. Are the fans any good? So,
yes,
okay.
Sir. Yes.
All right. How do you know that? You already bypassed the car?
Well, I plugged them directly onto a battery.
Yeah. You bypassed the car. Yeah, it's okay. And the fans are good. Okay. So there are two paths of power to the fans. Understand and listen carefully. When you crank up your Buick and you turn on the air conditioner, I know this is wintertime, doesn't matter. When you turn on your air conditioner, the power to energize the fans occurs within 30 seconds, because that cools the condenser. Whereas if you did not turn on the air conditioner, the engine would have to reach 225 degrees before the power from the engine would turn on that same fan. So we don't care about the power from the engine right now. We just care about the path of current to the fans. So what I want you to do is crank it up and turn on the air conditioner. Does the air conditioner work?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, then you should be able to open the hood, crank the motor up, turn on the air conditioner, leave it in park, and look at the fans, and they have to come on, or the air conditioner would not work. If the fans come on, then that would lead me to believe that it is the sensor of the temperature control on the engine that tells the fan relay when to operate. It's that circuit, and I can tell you, a technician should be able to pinpoint that without a lot of time, which is money. If you were to say, my fans work with the air conditioner on, they don't work without the air conditioner on. You got it?
Yes, sir.
You see see the differential? What's common to the fan? Engine and air conditioner, but the air conditioner rules because it can't wait for temperature to come up. When pressure comes up, you got to turn the fans on. And Phil, do me a favor. What's your dog's name?
Well, there were three of them in here that was waiting.
Okay, well, never mind. Never mind. And hey, tell the Colonel next time you see, or if you do see him, hello and that I love him.
I'll do that.
Okay, my friend.
And,
thanks for your call.
Like I say, yeah, the Colonel and I and you have always been my heroes, and it's a pleasure to talk to you today.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that very much. Have a great day.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
I don't know how I can follow that. I know who can follow that. Carol from New York. Okay, Miss Carol, it is your turn. Welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Well, I guess I can start up by saying, I guess you're my hero too. So that's number two. Okay. You got two on the list now.
All right. Hey, that's two. That's two. Hey, wait a minute. 28 years, and I've got two people on the list.
If I should
Yes,
live
but
to
I've
be,
been-
if I can live to be 150 years old, I'll have 5 or 6 maybe.
I know, but I've been listening to you for over 10 years. I can't even remember for sure because I know the first time I ever called you is when I was already retired, and that's been 10 years.
Wow.
So I've been listening to you maybe 12, 13, 14 years. I don't know.
So what are we going to talk about today? As if I didn't know.
Well, yes. This is even later than I called last week. How old do you have to be to remember what a curb feeler is?
Well, that's a great question. See, I wish you had called me at the beginning of the program because I would have asked folks across the nation because, what they thought about that.
I can try again next week. I can try again next week.
Okay,
'cause
all right.
I know it's,
I'll tell you what.
You
We're going to
what?
do that. We're going to do that because I've got 2 other calls in the queue, and I'm leading toward the end of the program. So you call me next week early on, and we'll put that in the queue, and I'll give away something to the winner. You already know what, and I know what we're talking about, but they don't.
Yes.
So have a great
well,
week.
I've been listening since 10, but I was running errands, so I was listening from the car.
Okay.
Whatever.
All right, my dear.
Talk to you next week.
Thanks. Bye. Be safe.
Bye-bye.
Let's go from New York to Texas. Mark, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for holding. You're on the air.
Thanks for having me. I'm driving to Dallas, and I never heard your show, and I like what I'm hearing. I've been seeing. I'm ASC certified from way back. I'm super interested in that book, but I've been seeing a lot of on YouTube a lot of electric vehicle conversions, and people are taking some of these Tesla parts and retrofitting old Volkswagen.
Yeah.
All kinds of things. I was wondering if you're going to see that as a trend. You know, the LS conversion is popular now. It used to be a small block Chevy. You know, it used to be the 6-cylinder back in the day. Are you seeing that trend happening more and more?
Mark, that's an excellent question. And to that end, we're in lockstep there. I, too, have noticed over it seems like only the last 90 days, but maybe 6 months, that people are taking an older car. And in fact, at SEMA recently, they had a 49 Chevrolet electrified. And it was a big deal because they restored, and here's the thing about it. When you restore an older car, you have to restore the engine, the transmission, the drive shaft, the differential. If you just put electric power, it comes as one unit. You can buy the whole unit. So I think that, and I agree with you and wholeheartedly, that we're going to see a continued increase in the electrification of the old fleet, the classic car. That's really going to be interesting because, number one, you don't have to worry about making horsepower because you got the electric torque immediate off the stoplight. Hey, thanks for your call. Where are you headed, Dallas?
Yeah, I'm headed to Dallas for work.
Yeah. Well, we're there. We come to you every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern time. So when you get to a landline next time, give me a shout and we'll talk about cars.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Be safe, Mark. Let's go back to New York and talk with Jesse. Jesse, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for holding.
How are you, Bob?
I couldn't be any better. How about yourself?
Oh, same here. Hey, that was a good one. Carol just threw me a curveball. Good thing she's not a baseball pitcher.
Well,
I was expecting the transmission
you have
question there.
No, but you have to tune in next week because she's got a great question. It's a teaser, and it's something you don't see on any new cars. Although there's nothing new, but everything's been replaced and upgraded. What can I help you with today?
Well, I have a good one for you. This goes back a little bit, but I had to help someone change a tire out here in a parking lot, and I happened to take off the tire, and I seen the universal joint, and there's all this black tape all over it. And I says, hey, does your car make any noise by any chance? And she says, all the time. I go, does it feel like it's coming from the front? She goes, yeah. And I says, well, I'm pulling this tape off of your universal joint. I opened it up, pulled the tape off, obviously no grease. I said, what happened here? She goes, a friend of mine gave me a cheap fix, said that'll last a while.
Oh, my gosh.
Nope, next week she's going to hire me. But it turned out to be Gorilla Tape. Just when I thought I seen everything.
Yeah, me too.
There it is.
Hey, Jesse, thank you so much for your call. We are out of time, and that's a great story. Tune in earlier next week, folks. I want to congratulate the winners, Frank from New York with his Volkswagen, and also Victor from Washington. I'm giving away
courtesy of Steve Cook, 2 OBD2 Diagnostics Made Easy books. One of them was given to me and signed by Steve himself. A special thank you to Steve Cook for these great books, a great job that you've done, and to also our winners, Frank and Victor. Folks, remember, if you're like Brett, who was calling us from Nebraska today, or Captain Jim, who has called many times from Las Vegas, when you have a Ford or a Lincoln Mercury part, FordParts.com features high-quality parts, images so you can see what you're buying, line art diagrams, which are even better for you techies, and detailed product descriptions and related parts numbers, the section that's all related to part numbers. Why? To help you find the right part for your car every time. Take your own tour. Go to FordParts.com. You don't have to write that one down. That's easy. FordParts.com. Until next time, I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us every Saturday from 10 till noon, live from the center of the automotive universe, right here on the Gulf Coast of Florida. I'll see you next week, 10 till noon. Likis, you'll love us. Have a great week. Take care of your car.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Berryman's B12 Chem Tool features HEST, or High Energy Solvent Technology. Using a combination of stronger solvents, HEST technology helps maximize one-tank cleanup of intake valves, fuel injectors, and combustion chambers. For example, Frederick L. was experiencing a stalling problem on his 88 Mazda B2200. The vehicle was bogging down under acceleration. He tried Berryman B12 Chem Tool on a whim and noticed a huge difference, both with performance and fuel economy. Learn more about Berryman B12 Chem Tool at berrymanproducts.com.
O'Reilly. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts for our See Better, Drive Safer sale going on right now. Get great deals on everything from wiper blades to headlight bulbs. Plus, save on your next oil change with 5 quarts of O'Reilly Full Synthetic Motor Oil and MicroGuard Filter, just $25.99. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P. Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here.